Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Clayton Udoh. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. I just want to talk about the unwillingness of our people to be able to connect the dots, to understand that the construct called Nigeria is no more viable. I heard a story today about people getting up and rejecting the Hausa Fulani settlers. And rightfully so, because historically, these people have never been known to settle. The Hausa Fulani group do not settle. They never settle. They never settle. And especially that subsection demographic called the Fulanis, they've never settled. They are nomadic wanderers. Wherever they've gone, they pillage and ravage and destroy the civilizations that they come into contact with. It is interesting to note that these people did not come in a way that could have made this program called Ruga or whatever it is acceptable. Rather, the program is an anathema of what there should be in the social construct of the fabric of society. If you wanted ranches, all the federal government of Nigeria needed to do, looking at the rest of the world and how everything operates, is to open ranches in the north. Open ranches all over the place. And let these people take their cows in there. This is the aspect of Nigeria that is taking us backward into the ancient primitive past. Because as far as I am concerned, I've been in the United States for 18 years now. 18 years of the other part of my life. And for the 18 years, I've never seen a single cow on the streets. I've never seen cows going through primary school classrooms. I've never seen cows going through secondary school classrooms. I've never seen cows ravaging people's farms. I've not seen a single live cow walking around on the streets. But you cannot compare the beef consumption of the United States with Nigeria. You cannot compare the beef consumption that we have in Europe with Nigeria. Is it like the politicians, all of you people who are sitting down there, allowing this thing to become something that is a debate, have not traveled out of that country to see that there's not one single cow that you see on the streets? You don't see cows anywhere. You don't see cows stopping traffic. You don't see cows interfering with traffic. But you guys, after you've traveled around the world, you go back there, you stupidly, asininely, you foolishly, as the monkeys that you are, because you guys think that you deserve respect. You deserve respect. We should honor you. But for you to go back into Nigeria after you see what happens over here to go and argue about cows is something that I do not understand. In these days of mechanized farming, and because of that, I call bullshit on the Ministry of Agriculture. You are a piece of shit. You're sitting down there just annexing the money, doing what you think you have to do. You have nothing to show for your office, because this is an agricultural issue that should have been solved by your office. You see, Nigeria has collapsed. The construct called Nigeria is no more viable. Why should this even be an issue that should be debated by the office of the presidency? Why should this be an issue that is debated by the governors? This is an issue for just the Ministry of Agriculture. Release that money, let them have their ranches in the north. Let mechanized farming step in for them. Actually, it would even develop their own area of the north. And then they can sit inside there and feed their cows. Oh, you don't have green grass? Well, you do like what other countries do. We would cut all the green grass and bind it in bales for you and sell it to you over there in the north. You buy it from the south. But for you to come and vigorously, not even vigorously, violently try to annex lands that do not belong to you and actually kill people, bring in terror, that is unacceptable. That has nothing to do with ranching. That has nothing to do with the upbringing of cows, animal husbandry. It has more to do with a very, very serious agenda in which we of the southern regions of Nigeria will reject it. Hence, we say, all hail Biafra. For those of you who are still part of that construct of Nigeria where when you wake up and put on your suit and tie, you go and argue about cows, good luck to you. More grease to your elbows. But for those of us who don't want to, because they say, meaning it's not only stealing that is a thing of shame. Sometimes it's shameful that a person who is the president of Nigeria will force you with your good clothes and your agbada and your whatever. I don't care what your title is. Architect, doctor, engineer, professor, that you are arguing about cows. In this day and age, 2019 is a thing of shame. that Nigerians are arguing about cows in 2019. I'm ashamed of all of you. Look, you know what? If you want to remain stupid, you can be stupid inside there. But some of us who are watching what is happening, we know that this is very, very unnatural. Nobody should be able to be arguing about cows. I call bullshit on the Inspector General of Police. You are a piece of shit. And here's the reason why I call bullshit on you, sir. And I call it out with all amount of energy and power as a Biafran. How can you have one demographic that is heavily armed with AK-47s and M16s and A-15s opening shots into the air when people are trying to tell them, don't bring your cows into our farmland? Don't you have some kind of problem that another group is as armed as the police? That should not happen anywhere. In any place where the Inspector General of Police knows his office, knows his power, there should be no ethnic group that is armed beyond another ethnic group. It's not to your own advantage anyway. That is where arms leak for armed robbery. That is where arms will be used for thuggery. That is where arms will be used to cause disruption of the peace in the society. But are you thinking, no, because you're uneducated, how you got there was through politics? I bet you don't even have a master's degree. You know nothing. You are a northerner. All that you know is your love for your cows. Same with the president of Nigeria. How we can live in this day and age, it beats me to understand that the president of Nigeria cannot even speak English. He cannot speak English. He cannot express himself. He cannot express himself. Why Nigeria settled with that, we don't understand. Those of us who are very, very sharp, those of us who are very, very quick to connect the dots, those of us who want to hand over a better destiny, a better generational outcome for the children to come, for our lineages to come, we want to get off the seesaw called Nigeria. It is interesting that some of you, like I say, with your suits and your ties, today is Buhari, tomorrow you're going to argue it should be a southerner. Next tomorrow you're going to argue it should be someone from Yoruba land. Tomorrow you're going to argue it should be someone from a house. That the Fulanis will come with their own problems. They'll start trouble. They'll threaten, if you don't let us win election, we will start problem. And Jonathan Goodluck had to step down. Those politics need to be eliminated. For you guys, I want to say this here. Every man from Akwa Ibom State, every man from the Igbo areas of Nigeria, every man from Port Harcourt, every man from Bayelsa, every man from Edo or Delta, for you to hand over this kind of inheritance to your children, you are very, very wicked. The idea that your children will come to meet this thing of who is going to be the next person in charge, is it Hausa, Fulani, and who is going to be the next person in charge, is it the Yoruba man? Break it up. End this nonsense. It is ridiculous. You know what I would have expected of Buhari as a president? I would have expected Buhari to take his position in the African Union to start to talk about things like the African Intercontinental Trade System, in which we still have the vestiges of the old colonial system, making it difficult for even Africans to communicate with Africans, making it difficult for us to even get visas to travel within Africa. It's easier to get a visa to travel from Nigeria, out of Nigeria, to get a visa to travel from Nigeria to Mozambique, to get a visa to travel from Nigeria to Angola or any of these African countries, because of what the colonial system left. I thought that the president of Nigeria would be involved in making Africa become a unitary power, just like Europe joined up together to make the European Union, like the Brexit issues, like United States is a power to its own, that Africa would have united. I thought the African president would have done, Nigerian president would have done something like that. I thought the Nigerian president would have finally united African countries to question the World Bank on the valuation of currencies, which is not seen in any chapter in any economics book. There is no economics book that talks about the good of the valuation of currencies. And I can tell you right now that for you to lower your currencies to the point that foreign countries come to take your resources for pennies on the dollar is a shame. It's the greatest scam in history. Instead, you go around chasing little kids who are on their computers, working in their bedrooms. I would have thought that you as a president would have turned around and said that this is a country that doesn't have constant electricity. Places like Mali have electricity now. Places like Ghana are talking about constant electricity. Nigeria doesn't have constant electricity as we speak. I would have thought that as a president, you would have been someone who would have been interested in constant electricity and running water. A healthy disposition for any society to have clean running water. No, you're sitting down there thinking about cows, how cows should go into the southern aspects of Nigeria. I would have thought that as a president, as you're sitting there, that you would have tried to kick up the industrialization of Nigeria. Nigeria is one place that up till this day, and people, this is the shame of Nigeria, that we're still discussing Ajakuta Steel Complex. we're discussing a steel complex that started before I was born and has not been able to be completed till this day, and it's not online, it's not in any productive state, that you would have closed that issue, that curse, once and for all, and created so many industries in Nigeria. We would have thought that you, as a president, President Buhari, that you would have also kicked in the prosperity of your people. You are one person that cannot multitask. You are very linear in nature. Your fighting corruption doesn't mean that you cannot also create prosperity in the nation. Rather, you have created the pseudo-prosperity that we're seeing among the presidents and governors of Nigeria, pushing everybody back into the farm to go and become farmers. And then they themselves are the cosmopolitans. They themselves are the ones who hold the money. They themselves that have their children going to foreign universities. They themselves are the ones driving the nice cars. And the whole populace, the masses, go back to the farms and farm with this valued currency. And then they become like China, where we have the largest lower class in history, just farming, just working in the factories, just working, and then you guys become the new class of the elite, having the money and everything. And I am ashamed that you guys have no foresight, no vision to change the educational curriculum of Nigeria. Of this point, every person who knows and has a brain knows that nobody graduating in any Nigerian university, their degrees are regarded as toilet paper. That you change the curriculum and make a connection in which even foreign students can come into Nigeria to come and take credits, like I see in Ghana, like I see in other places. Foreign students come into Nigeria to come and take credits because Nigerian education is on par with the rest of the world, is number one. So therefore, they come to take credits here, and their credits are recognized by their universities over there. People want to come for summer in Nigeria to come and take credits in universities all over Nigeria. They're struggling against the Nigerians. No, you've changed Nigeria into a caricature of what it should be. Every minister right now under the Buhari regime is useless. They're just there. Every ambassador, I call out the ambassadors. The ambassador in Italy especially, where there is this human slave trafficking and sex trafficking. The ambassador, Nigerian ambassador to Libya, you are a shame to humanity. The Nigerian ambassador to Italy, you are a shame to humanity. And every other Nigerian ambassador that was involved in the xenophobic attacks of Nigerians in other countries, you are a shame to humanity. All that you guys are sitting down there doing is eating money. Let me tell you something about this eating money thing. One of the most honorable things a man can do, and I don't think it has anything to do with poverty at this point. It has a lot to do with mediocrity and monkey mind politics. When people are less than human, they only think about themselves, even to the shaming of their offices, is to leave a legacy. You would leave a legacy that people, it would have been better if you could leave a legacy for people. That people would wake up one day and say that this is the one thing this man did. When he was in office, this would never happen. But a lot of you, when you leave office, you're not remembered for anything. All that you're remembered for is that when you left the office, you left it broke. I call on people to know that the construct called Nigeria is no more viable. All hell Biafra. And for those of you who get up and say, oh, he's nuts, he's stupid, he doesn't know. No, there's a huge number of groups that are agitating for the breaking of, whether you want to call it Biafra or not, we don't care. But there's a huge number of groups that are agitating for the breaking away of the lower Niger Delta region away from Nigeria. We don't want to be on the seesaw again. We're not interested on the seesaw. If a state in the lower regions become, then the Fulanis want to rush in to come and annex that state. If things become good in the place, the Hausa people want to come in and get involved with the money there. If anything that works in the south, they want to, or they shut it down. They shut it down. They want to shut down airports. They want to prevent us from having the seaports we should have. Akwa Ibom State, we built a power plant, Ibom Power Plant. They refuse to allow us to use electricity there. The Hausa Fulani hegemony is useless. In the end of the story, history will prove one thing. Buhari was a man who just childishly wanted to be called president of Nigeria. He had no vision. He had no plan for Nigeria. It shows from what he has done in the last 4 years, and in the next 4 years, the man has no vision. No vision. When we look at 2019, he has no vision. And those who are riding with him are visionless too. I kick against the Hausa Fulani hegemony and against the speech that has been coming out from Abuja. Stand by the president, no matter how stupid he is. Stand by him. And what is the new argument now? That those who are prosperous are the people stealing money? No. That those who are hardworking and making money, those going back to the farms? No. Because somebody once upon said it and made it clear in the media that Nigeria has become hellish. The reply given to that person is that it's because you're waiting for free money. That those who are working hard in the farms, planting tomatoes, in this our day and age, the whole society cannot go back to the farms. There are people who are called farmers. That's their job. The whole society cannot sit down planting rice. There are people who do that. That's their job, and they make their millions from that. But you must also look into the prosperity of those working in the civil service, those working in the private sector, those who are innovators, those who want to use their own ingenuity to do business, those who want to transform themselves into people through the pursuit of happiness and in the pursuit of their own business and in the pursuit of life. You should look into their lives. You cannot force everybody to become a farmer. You cannot force everybody to look into becoming a cow herder. And so I kick against everything that you represent. You represent Neanderthal man. You represent primitive men. You represent the most primitive societies that we have already actually moved forward from. We are no more in that kind of primitiveness. And I want people to know, if you want to remain in the seesaw, you can remain in the construct called Nigeria. Today, is it a southern president? Is it APC or PDP? Tomorrow, will it be a southern president? Next tomorrow, will it be a Yoruba man that is president? These tribes that are all fighting, based on the damage of colonial rule in Nigeria, you need to break away. We all need to break away. Let the Yorubas have that. They were a kingdom before Nigeria even came to exist. Let the Hausa Fulani hegemony go. And let the southern side of Nigeria, which were already kingdoms before the British, we should return to who we were. But this bickering, and then the next thing, the people bring in cows, and then we are hearing Fulani herdsmen opening fire with AK-47s or shooting AK-47, and then the police is not disturbed that they have a group that is armed out there operating on their own laws, outside their laws. It is a zoo, it is a joke, it's a kangaroo playground. And I am saying this at this point, that for those of us who know and have bravery and have the guts, we've connected the dots. The construct called Nigeria is no more viable. For those of you who are sitting down there and want to fight the hyperinflation called Nigeria, you can fight it. Money will continue going down. $1 to 400 naira. $1 to 500. It will never recover again because it is a scam from the World Bank. $1 to whatever. By the way, the world is moving away from oil. And at some point in time, you guys will have to face the reality that that oil, an economy that is based totally on oil. Nigeria has more resources than the United Arab Emirates. But all of you want to go for holidays in Dubai. Do you know how Dubai got it done? Dubai made oil only 5% of their revenue, only 5% of the economy, and they transformed the economy into cosmopolitan economy, into a construct that is dealing with trade, that is dealing with education, that is dealing with innovation, that is dealing with commerce at an advanced level. Those of us who are going there and seeing how beautiful it is and stealing money from our land to go and buy things there and come and bring it and show off, why don't you try to find out from them how they did it? But we're still sitting in a place where the president, because all he knows is the resource called oil, makes himself the president and makes himself also the petroleum minister at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, the construct called Nigeria is no more viable. It is no more viable. We have also a president who is a cow herder. He cannot even speak English. He cannot even express himself in the United Nations. When he went there, he was ashamed of Nigeria that we still bring people who do not reflect who we are. When we have a country that we have people who are working in NASA, just next door here in Houston, the people who are sending spaceships into different sections of the solar system, out into the universe, that we have Nigerians. Nigeria by itself single-handedly is holding up the American medical industry. Nigerians, from medical doctors to nurses. I mean, if all the Nigerians who are medical doctors or nurses walk away in one day from the American medical system, it will collapse. That kind of a country, I'm talking about Nigerians in the American army. We have Nigerians who are engineers. We have Nigerians who are lawyers. We have Nigerians all around the world in high positions, high places. And then we produce a man that cannot speak a single straight line of English, who cannot give us straight line of logic, a cow herder. It is time Nigerians woke up and stop this kind of monkey games. You just bring a bushman to sit down and be the president, you follow him, and then you argue over the obvious. The fact that don't allow anybody to tell you, for example, they say, how were we to know? It was a secretary to the federal government that started Ruga. No, you cannot start things under the presidency without the knowledge of the presidency. They are all in cahoots with what happened. But that even becomes an argument where people are wearing suits and ties and arguing over. You guys need to stop the monkey games, the monkey politics, and be straight. The president is crap. He's crap at this stage, and he needs to step down. And if he won't step down, we shall break away. We have to break away at this point. We are dedicated to putting in our resources, putting in manpower to break away from this contraption called Nigeria. It's not worth it anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who listen to me, I'll leave you with one point too. It's a tragedy that in the whole West African sub-region, the ancient vestiges of the Kani-Borno Empire went away. If you go to Senegal, the Northerners, they don't have breathing space to come up and start shit. If you go into Togo, the Northerners are not trying anything funny. If you go into Sierra Leone, the Northerners don't try anything funny. If you go into Liberia, you being a Northerner, you don't try anything funny. If you go into Ghana, the Northerners, the greatest you can be is vice president. Any of the countries in the West African sub-region, the Northerners have no... Only in Nigeria that we're seeing this thing happening. It's like the Northerners want to overrun the place. And it is the fault of the South always sitting down to argue and to debate over monkey politics that they bring forward. In 2019, the last thing we should be debating about is cows. Cows going on the streets, cows going through primary schools, cows going through secondary schools, cows interfering with traffic, cows entering people's farms, cows all over the place. And they sleep with these cows. They have sex with these cows. And then they have sex with these cows. They themselves don't eat that cow meat because they're Muslims. They sell it to you as a ritualistic thing. And we're still eating those cows every day. And then what happened? That we as Southerners cannot have our own cows. And let these people take their cows and get the fuck out of the place. People will say, well, look at his language. His language, he should speak very intelligent. No. There comes a point where you are just tired of it. There comes a point where I'm just sick of it. Nigerians should stop debating on things that are not worth debating. In 2019, Nigerians should not debate about cows. And Nigerians should become very violent with people who force them back into the past to start debating about cows. I do not want to debate about cows. I don't want to debate about the idea that they should ban maybe like email and make us all go back to the postal service and be I don't want to debate about anything that is backward. I don't want to debate about it. It's not worth debating. And any leader who wants his people to start debating on we should leave cars and go back to chariots, in this day and age, that kind of a leader, you should get rid of him. There's no respect for him. Those who want to defend him are defending their stomachs, and they are the monkeys that remain forever, because it is a destiny. It is something you hand over to your children. They will always defend monkeys. If you defend monkeys, your children will defend monkeys, your grandchildren will defend monkeys. But there has to come a point where we stand up and say, you know what, we don't want to argue on this kind of thing. We are arguing about cows. People are being killed because of cows. People are getting killed. A human being's life is not... And I understand though, if someone has been having sex with his cows and sleeping with his cows, of course he has a romantic attachment to his cows. He will kill you if your cow comes too close to his cows, or if you try to push his cows out of your farmland. But do we need those kind of people in our midst? The Islamization of Nigeria will never happen. But those who want to play around with this issue and want to joke around with it to see how it turns out will regret it. We nip it in the bud now. And if you don't want to be part of this seesaw, where a man was sitting down crying because he couldn't become president, he kept on pushing till he became president, and he's bringing this crap that he's bringing, then you know what to do. Soon the Yorubas will start arguing they want to have a president to come in. But when I look at people like Obasanjo, the craftiness. And then when I look at everything going on in Nigeria, it's time we broke away. All hell Biafra. I want to thank you for listening to me. For those of you who are too timid to face the truth, continue arguing about cows, arguing who will be the next Yoruba president, arguing about APC and PDP, arguing about how you should have more power. It's all about power. Nobody argues about the fact that why should we still be paying $3.60 to $1 when the dollar has no resources backing it. It is a fiat currency that is approved by word of mouth. Why is it that only new countries who have nuclear weapons are the countries that can muscle the United States and muscle the World Bank into not interfering with their currency? And then countries that are peaceful like us in Africa, who have the whole resources, we are rendered useless, so that they can come and pick up our resources for free, for pennies on the dollar to use in their countries and sell back those products to us. When was the last time the United States had the respect for Africa and did a major trade deal with Africa? They do major trade deals among themselves, but the places where they're getting resources from, they don't want to do a trade deal there. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Wake up. Stop arguing about cows. And really be angry with a man who wants to force you in 2019 to argue about cows. Those of you who are in London, you see cows walking all over London. Those of you in the United States, you see cows walking over the United States. So why should we argue about cows now? A word is enough for the wise. My name is Clayton Udoh. Biafra 2.0. Thank you very much for listening to me, and you have a good day. Happy 4th of July.